Chris Hahn is here, the aggressive progressive. Boy, Chris, I think that, is there anybody to be happier tonight than Ron DeSantis?
I think the Democratic Party is happier tonight. Donald Trump is not going to go quietly into the night. And the American people have figured out that he's just a big liar, thief, and grifter, and they don't want to be anywhere near him. And they have real problems, and they want a person who's going to address those problems, not whine and complain about how they were robbed when they were not robbed.
Well, we talked to Mark Lotter earlier, one of the former president's advisors, and he agreed that you've got to make this about the future, right? You can't continue to relitigate your grievances of 2020. It's how Trump won in 2016, by talking about the future and convincing people that he cared about them. You bring up a great point in terms of lessons to learn from the election, right? And Democrats are sitting there saying, hey, look, this is great. We won because everybody embraced Joe Biden's fabulous agenda and on and on and on. But if we put up the way this really broke, it's a little bit different, right? You go through the states. You start in Georgia. Brian Kemp, anti-Trump Republican. He wins by 8 points. Herschel Walker, Trump-picked Senate nominees, now in a runoff, doesn't look good. New Hampshire. Chris Sununu, Trump's skeptical Republican governor, wins by double digits. Don Bolduc, the Republican from New Hampshire for Senate, loses by double digits. Ohio, Mike DeWine, popular Republican governor, Trump skeptical. He runs, 10 points above J.D. Vance, the Trump pick. Is there a chance the lesson from the election that we have gone through is not how wonderful Democrats are, but just a repudiation of full crazy MAGA?
Oh, it's a repudiation of MAGA en masse. Everywhere you look, it's a repudiation of MAGA. You look in Nevada. We haven't talked about that governor who was not a Trump person. So it is a major repudiation. The Democrats were successful in making this an election about a choice between crazy Trump-endorsed candidates and Democrats who, look, we're trying to figure it out. This, if ever there was a year where Republicans should have done well, this would have been the year. There is an inflation issue. There is a midterm president whose numbers were low, and they failed because of Trump. Because of Trump, but some of the candidates like Carrie Lake kicking out McCain voters in Arizona.
Elections are additive. Okay, I mean right. we see that happen. And bring in F.H. Buckley, who wrote that piece in the Wall Street Journal. We're glad to have you, sir. Thank you. Is Ron DeSantis the big winner here now because he gets to sit back and watch the media and Chris Hahn, among others, take Donald Trump apart?
Well, I would like to think that. I'm in Virginia. We've got a pretty good governor here as well, in Glenn Youngkin. There are plenty of good people who would make great presidents on the GOP ticket. Alas, Donald Trump's in the way, right? And we very much hope that one way or the other, he's not going to be running. But at this point, he's the best thing the Democrats have going for them, sadly.
All right. If the best thing the Democrats have going for them is that Donald Trump is there. Chris Hahn, how do Democrats not screw that up? It's one thing to run against Donald Trump when there's an election going on. It's another thing to have to govern, as President Biden will have to do over the next, certainly, year before he can really turn this into the 2024 race. And you don't have Donald Trump to blame for your problems.
I think Joe Biden has done a great job governing. He's got a lot of his agenda through the Congress, through a very narrowly divided.
The voters don't, Chris.
Yeah, but the voters are going to make a choice between the candidates before them. And unfortunately for the Republican Party, they had a chance to stop Donald Trump. It was in late January of 2021 when he was impeached. They should have voted to get rid of him. Then he wouldn't be their problem anymore. They still would have lost these midterms, but they would have had a chance in 2024. They chose to stick with this guy. Now they own him, and the stench of him will be on them until he doesn't want to be around anymore.
Well,
and believe me, even if he loses the primary, Leland, he's not the kind of guy who will shake his opponent's hand and say, "Great job, I'm with you."
Well, yeah, no, he
will campaign hard against them.
Yeah, no, he didn't in 2020, certainly. So there you go. Thanks for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to subscribe. Click the red button to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.